Alright, Schlockmeister fans, some people call it House 3. I call it the horror show. Let's check it out. Detective Lucas McCarthy, played by Lance Henriksen on the left there. And it looks like they've walked into a bloodbath. Yep, that's a hand in a deep fryer. Look a little closer, you're going to find a head in another deep fryer too. That's Brian James as the killer, Max Jenke.
Put the gun down right, got the bitch.
But he cuts off her head and tosses it at him. But not to worry, because it's just a dream. Guess what? Max is not a dream.
Penitentiary where Max Jenke, said by some to be the most feared mass murderer in this nation's history, will be put to death.
But guess what? He somehow manages to pull himself off. But meanwhile, back at his home a little while later, there's an intruder.
Cosmo, come on, you little rat. Come on, kitty.
That's Lucas's wife. But that intruder was actually Vinny, boyfriend to Bonnie, the daughter, played by Michelle Pfeiffer's sister, Dee Dee. Max Jenke is clearly in Lucas's head. He keeps seeing him everywhere.
Bonnie? Bonnie?
Betty, do it for me.
But guess what? It wasn't Bonnie. This is the end of Vinny.
Did I catch you with your pants down? You can't hide from me, cub.
Is Lucas losing his mind?
She's pretty. Real pretty. Stay the fuck away from my house and my family.
He even sees craziness in the family turkey.
Don't look now, cub. But your family's dead.
Wife is gonna leave me. I don't want to hurt my kids.
He seeks out a shrink.
Am I crazy?
He decides to go to Max Jenke's former apartment, where he finds a picture of his wife and his 2 kids.
He is not dead.
No.
This is a scientist.
The electrocution, it allowed him to move from the material plane. Even though he's not alive, he can still interact with us back here. He can do more damage than if he were alive. But in order to fight him, we've got to bring him back here. We've got to use the same electromagnetic.
Bonnie finds Vinny's body in the basement. And Lucas gets arrested for it.
I didn't do this. Hank, you gotta get them out of the house.
But Max keeps showing up.
What about this?
Dee Dee Pfeiffer has a nice shower scene, which I can't really show you a ton of. But she's pretty, and she looks good naked. And then Max pays her a visit.
I got a present for you.
And Max pays a visit to Mom. and licks her. Lucas finds a way to break out of police custody, comes home, finds his son dead, finds something wrong with his daughter. It's causing him to see things that aren't really there.
Scott, mommy, daddy.
I don't know exactly where he is now, but he's in some sort of dimension where he has to save his wife.
Let her go. Why would I want to do that? Take me, Jakey. Let her go. I've already got you and your family, you stupid fuck.
They get into a struggle, and he does manage to dump him off the side. But of course that doesn't do much to him, but this might.
Fuck you.
None of that worked, but apparently shooting him will. Max is dead again, and the family's back together, including their cat. That's our movie. Alright, let's talk about The Horror Show. Now, this is a movie that I taped off of cable, I think, in 1989, maybe 1990, I'm not sure. Came out in 1989, that I know. And it was actually supposed to be part of the House series. House 1, House 2, the second story. And then they made a House 4, actually. In fact, I think Arrow put out some Blu-rays with the whole set, including this one in there. However, when it originally came out, they decided to just have a standalone horror movie because this one was a little more brutal and a lot less comedy than the other two House movies. And they actually have nothing to do with the other two House movies either. Although, did House 2 have anything to do with House 1? I don't think so. I actually watched those two movies yesterday. Anyway, The Horror Show. We got a killer named Max Jenke who's sentenced to death. We see him electrocuted at the beginning of this movie. He's played by Brian James. The police detective is played by Lance Henriksen. He plays Lucas. And he had a hand in getting Max Jenke arrested and convicted. Apparently, Max Jenke is the meat cleaver murderer. And he's killed like 110 people or something like that. Something ridiculous. Anyway, when they fry him, he actually says, all this is doing is giving me a hard-on. And then he stands up and breaks off of the straps and everything that have him in there. And he comes after Lucas, who's a witness to the execution. But then he says he's burning, he's on fire, his face is melting, and he says, I'm going to get you, I'm going to come back and fuck you up. That's what he said. Then he died. So, anyway, next thing you know, Lucas keeps seeing visions of Max everywhere. He's getting phone calls from Max. He sees him, and he thinks he might be losing his mind. Who knows? He eventually starts seeing a shrink. But Max actually is apparently coming back. Now, the back of this box, I think, says something that says that Max sold his soul to the devil or made a deal with the devil or something like that. None of that shit happens in this movie. He's just somehow back. There's this scientist guy who explains what happened. He somehow went to another plane or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, Max keeps showing up. He kills a few people, keeps coming after Lucas, kills Lucas's daughter's boyfriend, Vinny, in the basement. And then he ends up capturing the family members, the daughter, the son, and the wife. And then after Vinny was killed, the boyfriend, Lucas, got arrested because they thought he killed him because he was arguing with him. They thought he was arguing with him in the basement, so naturally he was a suspect. He manages to escape from police custody, come back home, and then he's got to fight Max Jenke in this other world, other dimension, other plane, who knows what the hell it was, where his wife is being held prisoner. Well, he's eventually able to do that. They throw him off of a ledge. It doesn't stop him. They fry him. That doesn't stop him. But then somehow they get zapped back to real life, and they're in their home again, and then shooting him kills him again. I don't know. There's some holes in the plots here, but that's what happened, and then that was our movie. Everybody lived happily ever after. Actually, the kids in this, the wife was played by Rita Taggart. The kids, the boy, Scott, was played by, God, I can't think of his name, but he actually played Nog, a Ferengi on Star Trek's Deep Space Nine. He actually passed away about a year ago. Dee Dee Pfeiffer, who is the younger sister of Michelle Pfeiffer, is in this movie. This is the first movie I ever saw her in, and she has a nude scene in the shower, which I couldn't really show you, but it's nice. And yeah, pretty much. So anyway, we have some severed heads in this movie. We have some a hand and a head in a deep fryer. There's some bloodiness and some messiness and that sort of thing. The movie's okay. You know, as far as horror movies go, it's a pretty typical 80s slasher, and it's enjoyable on that level. So anyway, like I said, you can get this within the House quadrilogy, I guess you could say, box set that Arrow put out. Otherwise, I think it was Arrow. Otherwise, you can get the Shriek Show Blu-ray, which is far cheaper. I'll leave a link to that down below here. I think it was on Amazon for like $25 or so. However, I was able to get it for like $12.99, I think. But then like the next day, it was up to $25 again. So I got lucky. I looked at just the right time, I guess. So, but anyway, that is the Horror Show Blu-ray DVD combo here. Check it out. Let me know what you think about it and leave some comments. Horror Show. Watch it. Bye. House 3. Dee Dee Pfeiffer.